All right, video number 3, fears that drive action. We never want our fears to drive action, but sometimes they do. So we're gonna address that for a second. So, as I shared earlier in the welcome module, because of my training, I'm considered an expert in emotional intelligence. And for those of you who know the topic of emotional intelligence, you know that one of the main drivers of behaviors are feelings. Don't worry, I'm not one of those guys who are going to dive into your past, unlock your mother's wounds, and get you to cry with me. Not opposed to it, but I just want to address a few common fears that we as men wrestle through in the uncertainty phase. But before I do, the number one problem that I run into when teaching emotional intelligence, as well as coaching men in dating, is the notion called self-awareness. Self-awareness is simply being able to recognize what you're doing and how you are feeling. It's like observing the guy in a bar talking to a woman as he's getting into her personal space without her desire. He steps into that 1.5 to 2 feet space, her personal space, and then she slowly backs away. You would say, dude, you're getting up in her grill and she doesn't want you there. It's nothing more than his self-awareness or lack thereof. In the period of uncertainty, there are usually a few common fears that need to be addressed to make you aware. Once you realize that these fears are extremely common, then it makes your decision-making process that much easier. After teaching this, I've had some men say to me that they wish they would have had this information a long time ago. So let's spend a few minutes talking about these very common fears. Fear of the magic pony. In the phase of uncertainty, you're really beginning to wrestle through the many-to-one scenario. In the attraction phase, and you're in a place where you're attracted to many women, but you get to know her, and you've been out on a few dates, or you're hanging out in groups of people, right? In that phase, you're wrestling through whether or not you're willing to sacrifice looking at other women in order to move into an exclusive relationship. You're doing this to determine if she is the one for you, and maybe you're asking yourself, but what if my magic pony is going to disappear? Some men, just by moving into the exclusivity phase without wrestling through the uncertainty phase, have the overwhelming sense of being trapped. And the reason is because when you don't wrestle through your uncertainty, you fear missing out on the magic pony. If you're wrestling whether or not the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, you're more than likely dealing with the myth of the magic pony. So what is the magic pony? It's nothing more than wondering if someone better is going to come along. Getting it to a place of intimacy with a woman is what we hope to accomplish, but it takes a process to get there. The question is whether or not she has the potential to reach a place of intimacy with you. The key is potential. When this fear of the magic pony arises in the period of uncertainty, sometimes it's nothing more than an unwillingness to address the issues driving your uncertainty. Lots of the time, this fear easily dissipates if you adequately work through the issues driving the uncertainty. The second fear has to do with questioning your compatibility. In other words, are we a good fit for each other to thrive? And I call this the fear of sustainability. Listen to what one guy said. She drives me absolutely nuts. We argue like cats and dogs, but I can't get enough of her. And now we open the can of the age-old question, do opposites attract, or at what level are we compatible, right? Now, the research on compatibility is quite vast, but for the sake of time, I'm going to walk you through a few general pieces of information that I'm sure will give you insight. And that is the reason I made this video in 2 parts, right? So if you get into a relationship with a girl who you enjoy being around, how do you know if you're going to make the right decision if you're having a lot of challenges? And believe me, I hear what you're asking because I've been there myself. To start with the basics, we have masculinity and they have femininity. There are some relationships where the men are more passive and the women are more assertive, right? But for the most part, as complex and amazing as romantic relationships are, there is a general sense that women have something we don't and men have things that women don't. Note of caution. Misogyny, where men hate women and express dominance as their means to control, is usually rooted in fear, right? Control and fear are cousins, right? We'll address this later as well. Men who deal with misogynistic tendencies weaken the ability to value women and enjoy them for what they bring. Let me repeat that. Men who deal with misogynistic tendencies weaken the ability to value women and enjoy them for what they bring to the table. I can give you statistics on erectile dysfunction with guys who are misogynistic as well. It's pretty sick stuff. Men and women are different, beautifully different, worthy of celebration, honor, and respect. Women have incredible value, but we are different from them. So the question is, how do you know if you're wrestling with the fear of the magic pony or fear of sustainability? You might be asking these statements. Is there someone else out there? I don't know if we're right for each other. She doesn't agree with me about what I value, and I don't know what to do about it. Here are a few basic tips to be more self-aware in the face of uncertainty. Right. Number one, take an inventory of what you like about her and what you have challenges with. When in this phase, the uncertainty in a man moves from a little shift to a seismic issue, it often has to do with guilt or shame. Guilt and shame are nasty suckers, right? Number two, realize that it's completely normal to evaluate before making a big decision. Remember the illustration we used about buying a car online. It's one thing to look on eBay in order to shop around. It's quite another putting your credit card down and making the purchase. Realize that it's completely normal to evaluate before making a big decision. At this point, we've come to a conclusion that you're attracted to certain aspects of her, right? You've developed a list of non-negotiables, and you're moving forward with the decision to give this a go, to give the relationship a go, right? There is some very critical information that you need to know before moving into the exclusivity phase that will help you become self-aware in the uncertainty phase, right? Number three, invite your friends to speak into your life. If there is potential in something great in a relationship. Relationships are key in all phases of the dating process. I'm talking outside relationships, not between a man and a woman. Your friends, right? Especially when you're wrestling through the key areas that set a relationship up for success or deep growth. By inviting your friends and mentors to the process, you'll soon be able to recognize whether or not this is a great relationship. Right? How mentors and friends can speak into your life. In the next video, what I'm going to do is give you a comprehensive look at what makes a successful relationship. In other words, if you're really freaking out, watching this video will allow you to figure out if you're freaking out about good things. Right? Sometimes there are things that we need to freak out about that are big deals, and other things sometimes they're small, but they feel like they're big. So to recap, this is the value of being self-aware, the fear of the magic pony, for fear of sustainability. Are we compatible or do opposites attract? Tips to being more self-aware. How mentors and friends can speak into your life. That's a recap of this video. In the next video, I decided to just scratch the surface of unpacking fear number 2, and I promise the insight will be valuable. I will see you there in a few minutes. For me, a few minutes. For you, I don't know when you're watching the next video, but I will see you soon. Take care.